Today we're going to be doing a huge kind of swatch party. So we are going to compare the new 3 Pat McGrath Labs Love Collection Mothership palettes with the rest of the Pat McGrath Labs eyeshadow collection, or at least the one that I have. And then I have a couple of other palettes that I think are quite similar as well, so I wanted to bring them in just to show as a comparison sake as well. And also I just wanted to compare the liquid shadows with anything that potentially might be similar in my collection as well. So the purpose of this video is not really for me to put my opinion in necessarily anywhere. It's more so to show you guys, you know, the similarities or the shades in comparison with, you know, the other Pat McGrath Labs collection. I have quite a large Pat McGrath Labs collection, or other palettes that you might have in your collection, so that you can make the best like purchasing decisions for yourself. You know, you might be on the fence about picking one of these up or all 3 of these up and then see the comparisons and be like, oh, actually I really don't need to, or actually these shadows are something that I kind of have been looking to add into my collection. Hopefully that sounds interesting to you guys. I will link all of the other videos I've done on this collection so far down below for you, as well as my Pat McGrath Labs playlist. I do a lot of these swatching comparison videos whenever Pat releases a new eyeshadow palette, so there's a heap of these videos if you want to check them out on the channel before as well. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and do the YouTubey things. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's doing a runner, and let's get started. We're going to start with the Fetishized liquid eyeshadows. So I have Twilight Platinum and Cosmic Chartreuse. I'm going to insert the swatches of just these 2 on their own right now so that you can see them to begin with. What I'm going to do is, the biggest one that I know you guys are going to want to compare them to is the Lisa Eldridge liquid shadows. So I have 3 that I will just swatch. I think these 2 right here are the closest ones, but I don't need to swatch this one. It's really not comparable at all. I have a Danessa Myricks Color Fix. I have 2 Victoria Beckham cream eyeshadow pots. And then I have this KVD Dazzle Stick in Flash Storm. I have this Vive silver one in Mink. And then I also have this RMS Eyelight in Strobe. So I am going to go ahead and compare Twilight Platinum with anything that matches Twilight Platinum first, and then we'll do Cosmic Chartreuse. This is all of the liquid shadows that I have that are in the same vibe, I guess, or, you know, same vein, same color story, same vibe, whatever you want to call it, to Twilight Platinum. As you can see, nothing that I really own is an exact match. It really is quite a more like steely kind of shade. So I'm excited. You can tell I have a you know, preference, right? This is my comfort zone. So this one is the Pat McGrath Labs Twilight Platinum. This one is Lisa Eldridge Ane, Danessa Myricks Iconic, Victoria Beckham Beauty Mink, KVD Dazzle Stick in Flash Storm, the Vive Eye Crayon in Mink, and the RMS Eyelights in Strobe. I mean, I don't know, I like them all, to be honest with you. And I mean, can we talk about the sparkle? You want sparkle? You want like a special shade in a bottle? I'd be going with Danessa Myricks personally. Okay, so now we have Pat McGrath Labs Cosmic Chartreuse, Lisa Eldridge Daphne, and Victoria Beckham Beauty Starlight, which I know Starlight just looks blatantly obvious. It's not in the same vein here, but I wanted to show it because when you look on the website from memory, because the reason why I picked up Starlight, if you're if you know me and you watch my channel all the time, you'd be like, that's a real gold. Why did you pick that up? You don't super love golds, or wear them a lot, I should say. I do like them, but it was described as like more of a greeny olive color on the website. So that's why I picked it up, which is interesting because honestly, when I wear this on my eyes on its own, it is just straight gold looking. But when you actually swatch it next to these two more olivey, greeny, army colors, it actually does bring out the olive and the green in it. So it's quite interesting. But anyway, I just wanted to swatch that just because of that description. I think the Lisa Eldridge is actually just like, it's quite similar. It's just that it's like a more muted color, I guess, which is interesting. But again, I actually find the Lisa Eldridge one on the eyes to come out more of a straight gold as well, rather than this like heavy green. It's like the green in this Cosmic Chartreuse is really bringing out the green in these other two. But yeah, I mean, I like all three, but hopefully that helps. I know this isn't extremely pretty looking right now and you can't see them all, but I can't fit them all in one screen. So I have all 10 motherships. I have 3 quads. So I have Blitz Astral Ritualistic Rose, which if I'm being completely honest, I haven't used yet. Yeah, I know. It's a new addition to the collection though, I will say. This one is Celestial Odyssey Luxe Quad in Bronze Borealis. I got this like free as an order over Black Friday or something. This one is Venus in Fleurs Luxe Quad Voyeuristic Vixen. Listen, I'm telling you right now, my palettes, especially my motherships and stuff, they look gross and they are dirty, and I know some of you like them clean, some of you like them dirty. I don't have time to sit here and clean them, okay? I have to get the content out. So yes, they look kind of messy. Please don't, I'm sorry if that, and this sounds sarcastic when I say it, but if it triggers you that they are messy, not the video for you, my friend. And that is no hate or shade or sarcasm or anything like that. I actually understand it. It drives me wild too. I just don't have time because I do work full time as well, and I'm trying to get this up in the same week that they came, and here we are. Bridgerton 1 Diamond of the First Water. Bridgerton 2 Belle of the Ball. See, like, these have special shades in them. Why couldn't she give us special shades? These are the new Holiday Quints. So this one is Nude Allure. Bronze Bliss, one of my all-time faves, Bronze Bliss, honestly, one of my all-time fave Pat palettes. My beautiful friend Melina had a spare, like one that she found of Celestial Divinity that she'd never touched before, and she sent it to me as a Christmas present. I'm so thankful, thank you Melina, and I do actually have a short of me using this. I just haven't put it up yet or edited it because I haven't had time. Story of my life. And I have used a few of these shades and they're actually amazing. And I know so many of you guys are screaming at me through the screen saying, I've been telling you to get this palette for years. Yeah, well, I have it and now I get it. It's very beautiful. Okay. The next one was Celestial Odyssey, which is just one of my all-time favorite Pat palettes as well. And then the new one, Celestial Nirvana. It's pretty, it's just not one of my faves from her. And then all 10 motherships, okay? So then we have these 3, right? I know this is chaotic, bear with me, it gets better, hopefully. These are the 3 new ones, so Iconic Infatuation, Velvet Liaison, and Sublime Seduction. I am not going to, I'm sorry if it annoys you, but I'm not going to swatch these champagne shades. It is like literally splitting hairs amongst the champagne shades. I guarantee you, if you have a Pat McGrath Labs palette in any form that has a champagne shade, like even this one, there's a champagne, I mean this one's a little bit more pinky. This one, this one, like there's one in like every palette nearly, except for maybe the quads. Is there one in here? Not really, there's not one in there, there you go. It is splitting hairs. Some of them lean silver, some of them lean pink, some of them lean true gold. Like it's splitting hairs amongst these champagne shades, but if you have one or 2, you pretty much have them all, I can guarantee you. The ones that we're going to focus on more is the matte shades and the more colored metallics. If I miss anything in here that you want to see. I do my best, honestly, and retroactively sometimes when I'm editing and stuff, I can be like, oh, why didn't you compare this, you loser? But I'm quite hard on myself sometimes. But I do try my best. So if I missed something, just pop it in a comment and I will do my best. But if there's shades like that you want to see specifically, just DM me on Instagram and I can take the swatch and send the photo to you on Instagram. That's actually a lot easier to me. I did that for a subscriber last week and it's really easy for me to just come up and take a quick photo than like create a short or something like that, because it actually takes quite a bit of time. So if you want to see something specifically compared, just DM me on Instagram and I'm happy to do that for you guys, okay? Before we even close to getting started, okay, I just want to say I saw Patty Alonso's like review of this collection. It was like three looks, and then she had like a rant on the thumbnail. She did some swatch comparisons and I just want to say this one right here, Sublime Seduction, if you picked up the Star Wars gold one, Quint, this was like the closest color story, like twins from my opinion. So I'll link Patty Alonso's video down below as well, because I didn't pick up any of the Star Wars collection. It didn't interest me. If you picked up that gold one, like the C-3PO Quint from the Star Wars collection, I don't think I personally would bother with this one, honestly. It was so close to being the same, but she did say she preferred this formula, so it's up to you. But I'll link her video down below for you. Let's start with Sublime Seduction then, shall we? This is all of the shades that are similar to Bronze Fantasy. Like, is that not insane? I'm actually just going to type all of the names and the palettes that they're from next to it right here, because I'm going to be honest with you, I can't remember. So I will go back through the footage and I'll find it, and then I'm going to insert a photo right now that you can screenshot and it will have all the names on it next to them. I'll do the metallics first and then I'll do the mattes. I hate swatching mattes, so I may be procrastinating on it, I'm not gonna lie. We definitely don't have as many duplicates, let's call it, for Honey Lustre. This one is Honey Lustre. So Honey Lustre, and then again, I'll put all of the names next to me in the next screenshot. All right, we're gonna do mattes. As a side note, my arm starts getting really red and like sore at this point, so we're gonna ignore it and pretend like that's not the case. I can't swap hands because I'm left-handed and I can't do anything with my right hand. Let's start with this peachy matte. This is Peach Persuasion. So Peach Persuasion really, for me, in my Pat McGrath Labs collection is quite unique. The Divine Rose 2 kind of coral shade is the one closest, and actually where's my Utopian Dream gone, because there's one similar to that in there. So sorry, one second. For me, this Peach Persuasion color is actually quite unique. It's very, very similar to the one in Divine Rose 2, the coral shade. So that, you know, only you can make that decision. Maybe you don't need it, maybe you do. But from my understanding, when Patty swatched this one against the gold one, Quint, that was when these mattes really were so, so close. So again, check out Patty's swatch comparisons for that. Let's do the dark brown. There's going to be a heap, so, you know, dark brown is a dark brown at the end of the day, right? These are all the dark brown shades, and I did the dark brown shade from Sublime Seduction, which is called Burning Desire. Then I did Midnight Mink from Velvet Liaison, because they're both just dark browns and all the shades would overlap. So Sublime Seduction, Velvet Liaison, and then these are all of the other shades from either motherships or like smaller palettes. So again, I'll put the names here in the screenshot on the next screen. What has been interesting to swatch through the evolution of motherships and palettes is the feeling and texture of the mattes. You can actually feel as she progresses through the motherships, but especially from these newer ones, like the newer Quints, well, I haven't swatched the Bridgerton one, sorry, but the newer Quads and the newer Holiday palettes. And even these ones, the mattes get so much more creamy and buttery and silky and just overall more lovely, in my personal opinion. Now the Mothership mattes are pretty good, but I gotta say her matte formula in these newer palettes, especially these Quints and like these, it's outstanding. I really do. I'm so glad that she's really tweaking her matte formula. I might actually do this ready one and this one here together as well, just because they're not the same, but same but different, and I think a few of the shades are going to overlap, so we'll do that. these are kind of the similar shades that I can see in the collection for these two shades here. So this one here is Burning Desire from Sublime Seduction, and this one right here is Enamoured from Velvet Liaison. And then I will obviously put what I've been doing, the names on the screen for you guys and what palettes they belong to. We've now completed all of the swatches of Sublime Seduction. While we're here, let's just go ahead and finish Velvet Liaison and get all of the mattes done, because gosh, I hate doing matte swatches, let me tell ya. So let's get into the rest of the Velvet Liaison shades. I'm not going to swatch this one, you guys. There is no matte like this in the collection. We've swatched this one already and this one, so we've just got to do these three right here. This shade and this shade will have some overlaps within the collection, and this shade and this shade. So I'm going to start out with these two shades here. I do recognize that they are slightly different to each other in undertones and stuff, but I just think there's not many shades like this throughout her collection. They're going to be same but different. So this one is Enamoured from the iconic Infatuation, and then this one, the second one here, is Fleurever Adored in the Velvet Liaison, and then I'll have all the names on the next screen and palettes for the rest of these. I'm excited to have these two though, because you know that these four shades are like my total jam, my one and done go-tos, just like my they're just my go-to kind of shades. So I mean, I'm pretty excited about it, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really excited by the mattes in this collection, can you tell? More so than the metallics. Like the metallics are just kind of like, they're beautiful, but they're a bit just okay. Like they're beautiful, but nothing crazy, unique, special, whatever. But the mattes in this collection have just got me so excited. Let's do these two right here now. She loves a plum shade, our Queen Pat, doesn't she? So we have this shade right here out of iconic Infatuation, and then we have this one out of Velvet Liaison right here. I'm just gonna pop iconic Infatuation to the side for a moment, because we just have this one last shade out of Velvet Liaison to do. This one is Voluptuous Rose, which is this one from Velvet Liaison, and then there are all of the kind of similar shades that I personally could feel out. Let's do the last two metallic shades from iconic Infatuation here. So we have this one and this one left, and then I do have a couple of other palettes that I want to show you guys as well. So hopefully you're still with me, hopefully you're still having fun. This one is Platinum Divinity from Iconic Infatuation, and then these are kind of all of the pinky purple shades, I guess, within her palettes. So, I mean, there's nothing exactly the same. And actually, you know what's interesting is swatching this, it does, like, it has more intensity than all of her other metallics, apart from, say, this one and from Celestial Divinity. So this is almost, it's not, but it's almost a special shade. When you swatch it, it really is, when you compare it to her other metallics. So that's interesting. It really does have a lot more glitter and fleck through it. Look how stained my finger is. So yeah, I know that a couple of these are multi-chromes, but in the pan they looked very similar. So I just thought I'd swatch it for, you know, interest's sake. All right, we have one more shade left to compare against the Pat McGrath Labs collections, and it is this one right here, which is Fleurever Adored. And let's get into it. Clearly she loves a pink, hey? I can't even fit all of this really on the one screen. This is Fleurever Adored right here, and then all of the pinks. I just want to show you guys some palettes that you may or may not own outside of your Pat McGrath Labs collection that are not exact color stories, not exact dupes, but you might have like that they have shades in there that are of the similar vein as what is in here, or a similar color story that might be slightly expanded on or just ever so slightly different, but when you kind of see them it might be like enough for you. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. This is Cinnabar from Lisa Eldridge, and then Sublime Seduction from Pat McGrath Labs. They're not exactly the same for sure, but I really do feel like they are quite similar in color story. Like you have these kind of chocolatey browns, you have a more neutral, I mean granted these are definitely more, even more warm tone than Cinnabar, but it is the same kind of color story, right? So I'll insert a slide right now of these two swatched next to each other so that you can just have a look. Another palette that is of a really similar color story for me is the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 1 palette versus Sublime Seduction. This one is a lot more warm tone leaning as well, so you can kind of see a lot more of those like peaches. This is still a lot more like peachy leaning, but it does have, like if you have this palette, essentially you kind of really do have this palette as well with some extra shades. Like you even have this shade and this shade. I mean, there's probably not more so of a goldy shade in here, but you know, it's a similar kind of color story. We also have the Natasha Denona bronze palette. I think this one is probably like the closest. Granted, this has way more shades. My cat is in here playing with a little ball, as I'm sure you can hear, and I'm sorry, but I have little time this morning to do this, so we're just gonna have to push through. This one has more shades obviously, so it's expanded upon, but I think, you know, apart from this shade, it's probably just lacking that real peachy matte, but other than that, I think, and maybe a champagne, but like it has a lot of these shades here, so you'll get a really similar look from, like you'll get a really similar look from this as you will to this, in my opinion, but I'll insert the swatch comparisons here too. Another one is the Bieber palette, which again, it is a lot larger of a palette, but you just have some same kind of color theming, right? You've got a champagne shade, you've got the gold shade, you've got the bronzy shade, and then you have the peachy mattes, the deeper tone mattes, and then the dark brown mattes. So I think, again, you'll get a really similar color story out of the Bieber palette versus the Sublime Seduction. Palette that I think will expand across not only Sublime Seduction but also iconic Infatuation here is the Glamonatrix Nearly Natural palette. So you can kind of see there's like a good mix. It's not as heavily warm tone leaning. It is really quite more cool, straight down the line neutral, but you can see that there's some same theming in here, right? Like you've got these kind of coppery colors. You have a bit of a champagne shade here. You have the dark brown mattes. You don't necessarily have the more peachy mattes, but you kind of have these neutral ones here, and you have the gold. And then moving over into iconic Infatuation here, you kind of have these more mauvey toned mattes, and you have the pinks and the purple mattes as well, and then you obviously expand them on up into like greens and stuff in this palette as well. So it's not exactly the same by any stretch, but you could create quite similar looks from this palette as you would with these two palettes. So that might be enough for you. That's up to you to decide. Another one that I think probably stretches across the two of these in some ways is the new Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes. And actually, I think it might even stretch a little bit across Velvet Liaison here too, because you kind of have these more like the similar mattes here, and you have this kind of bony colored matte, you have a bit more of a peachier pinky matte, the dark browns, and then you also have the gold and the bronze, and you have the more purple. So all it's really missing is a pink metallic. So depending on your collection, you might have that in another palette, but I know straight off the bat this doesn't look instantly the same, but I do think that you'll get a similar vibe. It'll be a lot softer and it won't be as warm toned, for example, probably more leaning here, but I think there is some crossover. So again, up to you, you decide. So iconic Infatuation, I do think that the Lisa Eldridge Muse palette right here is quite a similar color story. Again, it's not exactly the same. I think these mattes are more mauvey leaning than this one, but it does have those kind of pinky purple metallics, the champagne. So this might be enough for you. You might not need this one as well. And then I do also think that the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 is a good crossover palette as well. You kind of have the pinks and the purples here. You have the matte shades as well, and it's more of that pinky, mauvey, like soft glam kind of color story. So, I mean, essentially, I think between, if you have Major Dimensions 1 and 2, it's kind of covering off on both Iconic Infatuation and Sublime Seduction, in my opinion. I mean, formulas are different, all that kind of stuff, but just more so for interest's sake, if you're wondering maybe what palettes you have in your collection that might cross over a little bit outside of the Pat range, I think they are good options. The only other one I can potentially think of is Nude Prism from Luna Beauty, and I think, again, it might span across kind of all three of these palettes in a certain way, because you kind of have these more peachy, pinky leaning mattes, and then you have the darker browns. You even have like a similar kind of mauvey shade. You have your pink metallics, your bronze metallics, your gold metallics, your champagne. So again, not exactly the same, but it is quite of the same almost color story of these three palettes combined into the one. So it's up to you. The formulas of all these palettes that I've shown are all exceptional in my opinion. I think all of them are lovely and brilliant. And given that these don't have any special shades in them, does that warrant this formula being better than the others? I don't personally think so, no. that is all of the swatch comparisons I have for you today. I hope that that was helpful in some way, shape or form. Like I said, it's not, this video's purpose is not necessarily to sway you one way or the other. It's just to provide a reference point for you and hopefully help in some way, shape or form, or just have a good old-fashioned swatch party makeup time. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And like I said, if there's something that I missed specifically and you want to see one shade compared to another specifically, just DM me on Instagram and I will get to it when I can. I am super behind on comments and messages and everything at the moment because between work this week and trying to get these videos filmed and edited, I don't have a lot of time in between that. So I'm sorry, I will get to comments and everything, don't worry. And I will get to messages, but I'm just a little bit behind, so bear with me. But yeah, I hope you had fun. If you're watching till this point, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so, so much. If you haven't already, pretty please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. And I hope that you have the most amazing day wherever you are in the world. And I will see you next time. Bye.